So moving on to verse 10. No evil will befall you, nor will any plague come near your tent. This is a tough one. Again, like I look at my life, I was like, oh, I don't know what this, but that sure feels evil. Like this plague is coming near my tent. Well, we've got literal COVID. It's in the world. There's also the plague of dangerous ideas. The plague of infections. It's so easy to look around and see. It's like, well, I don't know if this verse is actually true because I see things that look like evil all around me. Now, what I want to do is kind of dig into some of these words here, and I want to kind of share how God has spoken to me about some of these things. So number one, the word evil, it pretty much means what it sounds like. The root word, it's ra'ah, and it means wild, evil, harm or hurt. The word for befall, with befall kind of has this kind of a chance. It's something that might happen to you, and that's kind of anah is the root word, and it means a chance encounter, like an opportune meeting, like dangerous things are not going to happen to you by accident. That's sort of the interpretation here. And nor will any plague come near your tent. So come near is kaurab, and it means to approach. So things aren't going to happen to you by accident, and things aren't going to happen to you intentionally that are bad. Now, what God's kind of been challenging me on, and I have to be honest, I'm not speaking this confidently because I feel it. I'm speaking it confidently because I know it's true, and I'm wrestling with and dealing with my feelings and examining them and saying, okay, if this is how I'm feeling, then I need to understand this and believe a little bit differently here. But if it's true that God is my refuge and that He is protecting me and nothing comes to me unless He's got a purpose for it, then what that means is that anything that comes near me is not evil. And I want to spend a little bit of time on this because I don't want to say that there aren't bad things or that evil is not active, because it 100% is. What I'm trying to say is that if God is using something and He's got a purpose for it, then it's actually an instrument of His love for me. And so the things that are going on in my life, I need to look and say, God, You are wanting to use this in me somehow. And so talk to me about this, God, interact with me, help me to process what's going on. And what I've found is that I've had so many wonderful, comforting discussions with God about difficult things in my life. And I've felt so much better after having those open conversations with God or with other people who are kind of helping me to hear God's voice. But I've also had a lot of conversations with God where it's about something difficult, and the answers are not yet. I don't get to know why something happens. And I've got close friends who have experienced bad things, like people that I really, really respect, and they say, I have no idea. Like this seems to be a waste of pain. It seems like God has no use and no purpose for that. And that's how it feels. But this isn't our whole life. And that's why I love that the word here is tent. The root word for tent is ohel, O-H-E-L. And it means a tent or a tabernacle. And a tent or tabernacle, it's a portable, non-permanent dwelling. And so I read this and I'm like, despite everything around it, it looks horrible. Like I know, like in my head that God is using things for good in my life, but doesn't feel like it. I can come back to tent and say, this is not my permanent dwelling. And I'm going to step through at someday from this life into eternity, and God is going to make everything right, and things are going to make sense, and I'll be able to ask those difficult questions, and I'll be able to see things from a completely brand new perspective. And so personally, I love this verse because anything that comes near me, God is using it. It's an instrument of His love for me and His care for me. And also, I have hope because this life is not the end.